the planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid is Belinda Waymouth. Belinda, how are you?
I am very well, thank you. How are you, Mark?
No, we are well here. I'm excited about having you on. I'm excited about sort of taking stock of things, which I think you want to do, meaning take stock of some of the changes that we've made in this country with an eye toward greening things up and then an eye toward the future. But it's not just this country. Please, you first.
Well, here's the thing. This has been a very big week. You know, we had the decision in Montana on Monday when the district court judge, Kathy Seeley, found in favor of the plaintiffs, you know, these 16 plaintiffs aging in age from 5 to 22. And she said, yes, the government has a duty to protect citizens from climate change. And this was huge because the organization and the lawyer behind this whole court case, you know, and taking a state to court, because what happens in Montana, you know, they have a state policy whereby there is no evaluating when they're allowing, you know, fossil fuel permitting requests. Agencies are not allowed to evaluate the effects of greenhouse gas emissions. And what this judge found was this is unconstitutional. And, you know, these 16 kids who got up, you know, they talked about, you know, the smoke that they're breathing in, the orange sky that they're seeing outside their windows, that they, you know, can't go outside, that their lungs feel like they're full of fire. I mean, they are on the front lines of feeling the effects of climate change. And this is really huge because I've heard Julie Olson, you know, their attorney, talk before, and you know, she is driven. She wants to make a difference. She's the ED of an Oregon-based environmental group called Our Children's Trust. They have filed similar lawsuits in every single state over the past 12 years. And this is the first time it went to trial. So the fact that it did, the fact that a judge did say, yes, of course, the state should be looking after its citizens and that, you know, greenhouse gases, you know, being emitted into the atmosphere, causing climate change, causing this huge increase in wildfires, droughts, you know, all the things that these young plaintiffs talked about. And, you know, for us, Mark, we're at a different, you know, stage in our lives, but these kids, this is what they're dealing with now and will be for their entire lives. It was amazing. It was a big moment.
Well, this is a very looked at and talked about case, and it was by no means clear what the outcome would be. And I wonder if you could just kind of summarize what the case was. One of the things I thought, and I'll let you summarize, then I'll be quiet. One of the things I thought they might say is, you know, that these kids don't have agency, you know, to bring this case. You know, these are young people who, as you say, they really have so much at stake here, this generation. And I thought it was a real brilliant move on their part and those who support them to bring this to court. So essentially they were saying what in their court case?
Well, they were saying that, you know, you can't allow all these industries in Montana to pollute. And by the way, Montana is the 5th largest coal producing state, you know, in the US. With impunity, that this is just not okay. The way, you know, it's sort of the way that, you know, if a industrial site is putting all its polluted water into a waterway that feeds the aquifer that people then drink out of, you know, you take them to court because they're violating the Clean Water Act. And this is the Clean Air Act. And what the state was trying to say, you know, so they were saying what you're doing is you're polluting our atmosphere. You're having this hugely detrimental effect on the quality of our lives, on the health, on our future. And this is just not okay. And the state kept on trying to say, oh, but we're just one little state and what happens in Montana isn't going to make a difference globally. We're just this little sideline, you know, state. But, you know, the thing is we talk about this all the time, and that we're in this, real, this absolutely sort of pivotal and transitional moment. And the thing that also happened this year is that the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act that Biden got passed, it was a year ago. The anniversary was yesterday. And the fact is the passing of that, the biggest, policy, that's ever been passed in the States, the hugest amount of money, almost $400 billion to, fight climate change, to speed up our transition to renewables. It's made this huge difference. It's happening. I mean, I tweeted and I, pinged you on it just a couple of hours ago. The story that was, came out over the weekend in the New York Times, and just, the International Energy Agency is saying, look, this, move to renewables is underway. We might not see it, but it is game on. And the US, I mean, we're going to have, 23% of our electricity this year is going to come from renewables. I mean, in a couple of years, they are going to surpass coal as the biggest, energy source, wind and solar. They're going to outcompete, coal by 2025. China is on track to, make this transition to renewables 5 times faster than they had said they would. And one of the things that the judge, cited was that, Montana could be getting 80% of its energy from renewables very, very easily. And the fact is it's, and I mean, I say this all the time, I'm like a broken record, Mark, and I admit it, whether the fossil fuel industry likes it or not, we are making this change. I mean, automakers are saying the combustion engine is going to be a thing of the past. It is coming, and we can, there can be this, fight. I mean, one of the things I thought was interesting is the state of Montana had an expert witness, a climatologist who was, going to get up there and say, it's not human-caused emissions that are causing climate change. But she didn't take the stand. They didn't put her on the stand. They had her written testimony, because contrarians like her, scientists who say that it's not our emissions, they're, this minuscule proportion, while the predominance of scientists say, yes, it's us, and we have to change. And the fact is we are changing.
There's a kind of an all-you-can-eat aspect to energy policy in China, for example, when we talk about China making these changes, and I see in the chat, and some of the chat stuff is troll-ish. I mean, maybe not trolls, but troll-adjacent. Like, well, why don't you just shut everything down then, man? I mean, or whatever. I mean, okay. But I think there is a quality of transition that does include sort of an all-you-can-eat policy. So anyway, to finish my thought on China, I just want your thought on this, Belinda. Yeah, they are into renewables, and there is a huge, robust, even green sector within the Chinese economy and then within the Chinese energy policy. But there's also a real dirty part of China energy policy. And you could even say in this country, too, we have I don't mean to insult American greatness or even the changes to which you've referred, but we also still have a lot of dirty fuel. We're still drill baby drilling in areas that, in my judgment, we shouldn't be. But that said, that is the sort of thing that transitions are made of, meaning, yeah, I get it. They're still doing both, but the transition will be to, and what will last, will be to the renewable energy.
Yes, I mean, here's the thing, is it's just inevitable. This change is happening, I mean, in spite of what all these conservative groups are doing. I mean, we've got the Heritage Foundation and other conservative groups. They've created this playbook, if Republicans win in 2024, to undo all the renewable energy progress, to
it's scary
regulations. I mean, and the fact is, guys, make reality your friend, because the future is going to be renewables. And honestly, I have to tell you, Mark, when I think about it, I really feel like, and I know that these young people do, we're sort of dealing with domestic terrorists. When you want to keep burning fossil fuel, and when you don't want to be regulated, and you want to just sort of push through all your fossil fuel projects through a state that's super friendly like Montana, which is, a Republican-dominated, state legislature. So, what will happen now that this judge has made her finding? Who knows? Because it's, there's going to be a lot of pushback. But they are really, I mean, it's not like what Northern Ireland went through with the Troubles, when you can actually see, the other side, throwing Molotov cocktails and bombs at you. But it is, in a way. It is. It's not overt they're throwing them at you. But the fact is every, ton of greenhouse gas that these, new projects are going to put into the atmosphere is going to have a lethal, impact on these children. And so they were no, sorry, I shouldn't say children, young people, because there was a 5-year-old, but there was also a 22-year-old. And they got up there and they were so articulate when they said, this is the reality and this is the world I'm dealing with. So, I just, it's
no, it's a victory. It's a victory, but there's a lot going on. And yes, I think you're right. And I was talking about this last week. I can't remember whether you were with us last week or not. Some week you weren't here. I was talking about the fact that the GOP plan, as articulated, it's right out there, is to undo everything in terms of all renewables and energy policy. They're going to lean heavily into dirty energy. And honestly, a lot of that is, and they're making noise with it, is just to own the libs. So we're going to destroy the planet just to own the libs. It's not even the policy that makes any sense. It doesn't even pencil out well. I mean, the support of the coal industry that was under the Trump administration, where they were offering them all those tax subsidies. And I mean, our tax dollars were going into simply because they wanted to own the libs. It was utterly absurd. There wasn't even a good jobs policy associated with it. Usually they attach that, well, it makes for so many jobs. No, not in that case. So yeah. I think there's a lot. The politics of it is just galling because it doesn't really address the issue. It's just like, what are you going to do to address the real problems, the real challenges, as opposed to just trying to own the libs all the time?
Yes. Yeah. No, it's such a, I mean, it's such a perversion and it's such a waste of time, because we need to be getting on with, the change and, making this shift. And the fact that it's happening in spite of these people, who are digging in their heels, to own the libs. I mean, it's just, what a waste of energy,
Yes, no, exactly. By the way, I missed impunity, I believe was a ding word much earlier. Belinda, lastly, we only have you for another minute or so. Talk about what's happening with Sweden and electric vehicles. And this is sort of a breakthrough technology that's kind of wild.
Yeah,
Tony, you might be able to rally a picture of this when Tony.
Oh, yeah, bring up the picture because it's so
here it is.
Cool.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So you see the line that's under the bus. So that bus is, as it's driving, is being recharged by that rail that's, built into the asphalt. So it's going to be exactly like trams were on, rail, like on a rail, going around the city. And the thing that's so beautiful about this is that you will be able to have smaller batteries in cars. They'll be able to go further because they'll be able to be charged while they're on the move. And talk about technological breakthrough. It also tabulates how much energy each car is using. And so they'll get charged for it as they do it. And it's just really clever, because, the thing that you're always hearing with the naysayers is, oh, we won't have enough charging stations. Well, guess what? We could make a road that charges your car while you're driving on it. So just as we have the carpool lane on the freeway, we could have the electric car lane, I mean, it's really, I just love this, and it's been in the works for a few years. It's getting closer and closer. There are more than one, there's more than one company that are dealing with it. And I just think it's brilliant, and
it's wildly innovative. It's just magnificently innovative. So really great stuff.
It's so fantastic. It's just so fantastic. And who will jump on it is China, because they are already making, more electric vehicles than any other country. They're making the smallest ones. They'll, you put obviously a connecting pad on the bottom of the car that, then makes contact with the rail that's on the road. And, voila, you've got your charging station, smaller batteries, so less lithium and all those, the precious rare earth metals that need to go into them, and no downtime with charging. You know,
No, it really is brilliant. Yeah, and so you don't have all of that, range anxiety when it comes to recharging, et cetera. I will ding voila, and I love chatting with you, Belinda. Thank you for being here. We'll look forward to next week at your normal time, but any time is always a treat. So thank you so much, Belinda Waymouth, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
More
Is the planet stupid? No, it's the planet stupid.
next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.